If you're wondering, what can I do when my friend is grieving? You're not alone. Most of us struggle in those moments. We want to say something comforting, we want to do the right thing, but oftentimes we feel completely unprepared. Based on my training and nearly a decade as an Episcopal priest, I want to share 4 things you can do to support a grieving friend. 4 things we'll explore in more detail in this video. First, avoid phrases that can cause more harm than good. We'll talk about what some of those are. Second, say less, but say it better. Third, let their needs, not your needs, their needs lead your response. And fourth, show up the way Jesus did, with presence, not platitudes. More than a decade ago, when I was in divinity school, when I was studying to be a priest, I spent a summer working as a hospital chaplain. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was trying my best. One afternoon, I walked into a hospital room. A man I'd gotten to know over several weeks had just lost his wife earlier that day. They'd been married for 47 years. I sat down next to him. He looked at me in silence, his eyes totally shallow. I felt so uncomfortable in that moment that I felt like I needed to say something, anything. So I blurted out, I know she's in a better place. He nodded at me kindly, but then he looked at the floor and he said something I'll never forget. He said, yeah, but I'm still here. That moment stuck with me because I meant well. I wanted to bring comfort, but what he needed was someone to just be there, just sit with him. Grief shows up in every life, and when it does, it can feel incredibly awkward or uncomfortable, not just for the person grieving, but for everyone around them. We want to help, we want to say something meaningful, but we end up blurting out things like, I know how you feel. It'll all be fine in the end. God won't give you more than you can handle. And somewhere inside, we know those words aren't right. I've said them, I've had them said to me, and I've learned that the most powerful thing you can do is not to say the perfect words. It's to just show up. When someone is grieving, you should avoid phrases that cause more harm than good. We feel the pressure to say something helpful, something hopeful, maybe even something a little spiritual. But too often what comes out is a well-meaning cliche that ends up making things worse. I'll never forget a moment at a funeral for a teenage boy who died suddenly. His mom, a friend of mine, was barely holding it together. At the reception, a woman walked up to her and said, God must have needed another angel. This woman was trying to help, but I watched my friend's face tighten. She nodded politely, but later whispered to me, if God needed an angel, I wish he'd picked someone else's kid. You see, when someone is in deep pain, they don't need explanations, they need presence. So here are a few phrases to avoid. Avoid saying, I know how you feel. Because do you really? Do you know how they feel? Every grief is different. Avoid saying, they're in a better place. This may be true, but it feels very dismissive of the pain of the person standing in front of you. Avoid saying, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. First of all, that's not helpful. And second of all, that's not in the Bible. Avoid saying, stay strong. Because sometimes falling apart is the strongest or bravest thing we can do. We often say these sorts of things because we don't know what else to say. So what can you say? What can you do? If you want to help someone who's grieving, say less, but say it better. You don't need a theology degree. You don't need a poetic turn of phrase. You don't even need to bake banana bread, though to be honest, that might help. You just need to be honest, to be kind, to be present. Try saying something like, I'm so sorry. I don't have the right words, but I'm here. Or you can say, that sounds incredibly hard. I don't know what to say, but I'll be holding you in my prayers. Or you can say, I don't know what to say, but I care about you so much. Often, what someone really needs, more than even the right phrase, is for you to just sit beside them. Even if you don't say a word, your quiet, steady, open-hearted presence can be a powerful act of love. When people are in crisis, one of the lessons I've learned is to let their needs lead your response. If you do feel the need to speak, you can try this one simple question that a friend of mine asks whenever someone around her is in crisis. She says, do you want to be heard or helped or hugged? It's simple, but it's brilliant because it does three things. First, it puts the grieving person in the driver's seat. Second, it helps them name what they need right now. And third, it keeps you from trying to fix what can't actually be fixed. The Gospel of John tells us about this time when Jesus finds out that his friend Lazarus has died. He travels to the village where Lazarus has lived, and he's met there by Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha. They're devastated. They say, Lord, if you had been here, he wouldn't have died. And you'd think Jesus might try to cheer them up. He might tell them it's all going to be okay. He might skip ahead to the miracle. But he doesn't. Instead, he feels their grief. He enters into it. And then we read the shortest or one of the shortest verses of the Bible, but also maybe one of the most powerful. We read, Jesus wept. He wept. He knew he was going to raise Lazarus. He knew joy was coming. He knew how this story would end, but he didn't skip the sorrow. He stood in it. He felt it. He wept with them. That's who God is. Not a distant deity with polished answers, but a Savior who steps into our pain, who cries with us before he heals us, who sits in the ashes before he brings new life. So if your friend is grieving, show up the way Jesus did, with presence, not platitudes. You don't need to be eloquent. You don't need the perfect thing to say. You just need to show up. Ask how they want to be loved, then listen. And if words fail, that's okay, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to sit down beside someone in their sorrow and stay there. That's holy ground. And through your presence, you're assuring them that they are not alone. So if you're still asking, what can I do when my friend is grieving? Here's the answer. Avoid phrases that can cause more harm than good. Don't try to fix the pain, just be present. Say less, but say it better. Be honest, be present, and maybe even quiet. Let their needs lead your response. Maybe ask if they want to be heard or helped or hugged. And then show up the way Jesus did, with presence, not platitudes. After all, your presence might be the holiest gift you can give. If this video has helped you or given you something to think about, it would be great if you liked the video, or share it with someone who might benefit from this, or subscribe for more reflections on life, on faith, on how to live in a messy world. Thanks for being here, and thank you for being the kind of person who cares enough to ask, what can I do when my friend is grieving? Keep caring for those around you, keep showing up, and God bless you.